Janis Joplin, born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1943, was the lead singer for Big Brother and the Holding Company. She rose to this status as one of the biggest music figures of the 1960s. Joplin formed her own band and had a national reputation as the voice of misfits in America.
Dear Mom and Dad, with a great deal of dismay I bring the news. I'm in San Francisco. Now let me explain. When I got to Austin, I talked to Travis Rivers, who gave me a spiel about my singing with the band out here, Big Brother and the Holding Company. They need a vocalist. He encouraged me to come out, and it seems like the whole city has gone rock and roll. He assured me fame and fortune. I just want to tell you that I'm trying to keep a level head about everything. I'm sure you're convinced my self-destructive streak has won out again, but I am really trying. I won't compromise myself because I'm all I've got. I do plan on coming back to school unless, I must admit, this turns into a good thing. So far, I'm safe and well-fed. Not bad for a bunch of beatniks, eh? The band's reputation is still going uphill. Why, last Sunday we played at a peace benefit and a simply amazing thing happened. As I raised the mic up to my mouth, the whole audience applauded and a girl yelled out, "Janis Joplin lives." I'm so thrilled. Love, Janis. These are quotes spoken by theater critic Pierre Biner on the New Age form of theater known as the living theater.
It is said that the living theater actor merely plays himself on stage. Even presenting oneself as an individual, however, requires maintaining oneself continually in the process of becoming. To touch with the race of being, you must be the sun. The living theater is the realization in each spectator that a transformation of his whole being is both possible and urgent, that he may pass from an imperfect state to lesser and lesser imperfection. It strives to communicate the very taste of revolution. All social orders are maintained by tacit and hypocritical agreement among their members, the relationship between performer and audience in traditional theater being but one example among many. It attempts to incorporate the introspective vision of the counterculture. The purpose of living theater is to obliterate the line between audience and actor, and to lead a state of being in which nonviolent revolutionary action is possible.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
While movies had existed since the turn of the century, the seriousness with which cinema was now taken put it on an equal plane with other visual arts. In the late 1950s, Andy Warhol joined with other painters in changing the face of American art with what became known as pop art, super realistic depictions of American culture. Later in the 1960s, Andy Warhol temporarily abandoned painting for filmmaking. Even though Andy Warhol primarily did everything for money, he really cared about making an impact on society.
Warhol in his 3 films has broken with that imagination in an attempt to describe the difficulty of making one's manhood in America. Warhol's young men strive to remain within human limits. Their dilemma arises when people refuse to acknowledge their integrity and equality. Their search is for valid manhood. It is hopeless, and yet they refuse to give over to the transcendence or fantasy. In a deadly, unjust nation where the buyers possess the earth, they are defenseless, for they have gone into the world vulnerable without the shield of adequate or appropriate myth or belief. Vulnerable, their mood escapes them.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rock music became more than just a form of pop culture. Individuals such as John Sinclair found in its existence a central component of the Cultural Revolution. He was the manager of the Detroit political rockers MC5. His goal was to merge politics and music by making them one. Sinclair believed that the role of music was to express emotions which many times were directly connected to the problems of the world.
The duty of the revolution is to make the revolution. The duty of a musician is to make the music. But there is an equation that must not be missed. Music is revolution. The members of a rock and roll family or tribe are totally interdependent and totally committed to the same end. They produce their music collectively, sharing both the responsibility and the benefits of their work equally. The work of the frontiers of modern technology to product a new form which is strictly contemporary in all its implications. There is no separation, and that's what it's all about.
Sinclair wanted people to realize that music never used to be about money or ego. It was just about being heard.
Money is the biggest trick of all, next to the so-called ego, which comes out of the same seed as money anyway. I mean, the ego developed strictly as an economic function when there got to be too many people on the planet for the planet's resources and there wasn't enough for everybody anymore. It is extremely important for urban groups to organize themselves around some form of popular culture activity, like a rock and roll band, a community newspaper, guerrilla theater groups, a health clinic, or whatever you can put together. The cultural forms will give you access to the mass media and the mass audiences of pre-revolutionary youth who are just sitting around waiting to get totally turned on. High school groups can organize around newspapers and posters and bands and present a united front in their dealings with administrators and other old creeps. It's time to turn on, tune in, and take over.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright.